Hey there, let's get down and dirty with brain building and bonding. That's right. How do we foster optimal functional connectivity, brain building, and bonding with caregivers at the same time? Here's the scoop. I'm Dr. Buerger. I have been giving this information out to practitioners for several years now. And there's 3 particular things that you need to know in order to help caregivers foster optimal neurodevelopment and bonding and co-regulation and social engagement for the life of that little fiddle fart. But it even gets more exciting because 2 of the 3 things that I have been talking about for many years now just got released into this beautiful journal article from Biological Psychiatry, backing up what I have been giving practitioners for several years now. So let's get down to it. First of all, brain building and bonding helps foster optimal social engagement. And social engagement is something we know that is lacking in those that suffer from neurodevelopmental challenges such as autism. So how can we help foster optimal social engagement and fire up those different circuits of the brain in order to optimize neurodevelopment? Here's the scoop. In this journal article that just came out in August of 2025, they looked at fMRI studies in little fiddle farts this is data from the Human Connectome Project. And they looked at those little fiddle farts 10 months old and younger. And what they found was something so exciting, at least it was exciting to me, that the social perception area of the brain is active and engaged right from birth. So that means that right from birth, we should be fostering that neural network. We should be exercising it and giving it brain food in order to mature even more. So that was exciting. And what they found, that area of the brain did better, not just from social engagement of eye to eye and looking at faces. It really was more activated when there was social engagement for that little fiddle fart looking at faces, but also with auditory input, with noise and social engagement, eye to eye and auditory social engagement with that youngin'. So here's the scoop. 2 of the 3 things that I have been advocating practitioners understand and give to their parents and their parents-to-be to foster optimal brain development is eye-to-eye contact, face-to-face, infantile directed speech, and tactile input, helping to foster vagal tone the ventral arm of the vagus that is needed for social engagement. But this article backs up 2 of those, meaning eye-to-eye, face-to-face contact, and that speech and auditory input at the same time to help foster that social perception area of the brain right from the get-go. But wait, there's more to understand. So what they looked at, they know that now this circuitry is active right from birth. But then they went a step further and they took a second cohort, and those little fiddle farts actually had a family member on the autism spectrum. Okay. So they wanted to see, was that social perception network active at birth in that cohort that had a family history of autism? It was just as active as the first cohort. But what they found then was if there was active engagement of that social perception network at birth, at 4 months old, that network was still engaged, and those little fiddle farts had better social perception skills and better social cognition and looked at faces more, which is one of the things that they use eye tracking and facial interaction to determine if a child might have a predisposition to autism. So they showed better social engagement at 4 months, and then even more than that, at 18 months. If that network was fostered, it was more active at birth, it was more active at 4 months of age, and at 18 months, that cohort that had a family member on the autism spectrum continued to have better social engagement activity. So Here's the bottom line. Want to continue to foster that social perception area and connectivity of the brain, especially in the first 2 years of life. We know that we look for specific social engagement cues in those little fiddle farts at 18 months that might be going askew and indicate a better chance of having diagnosis of autism at 18 months. So, bottom line, 2 of the 3 things that I've been teaching for a number of years have been vilified in this paper, and that is eye-to-eye, face-to-face time. This paper didn't specifically say infantile directed speech, but they said it needs to be visual and auditory input at the same time. And then the third caveat that I add is tactile input at the same time. So here you go. Brain building and bonding at its finest to help foster optimum social engagement from the newborn to the at least 18-month-old, and to foster optimal social engagement for higher cognition and to help minimize those kiddos that later on will struggle and be on the spectrum with social engagement dysregulation. Boom. If you want to learn more about this, if you want to own it, if you want to be able to implement it in your practice, and you need to know it, especially in this day and age, join our Academy of Neurodevelopmental Practice, our certification Foundations of Neurodevelopment program. It is everything you need to know and you need to own and you need to be able to implement to help change the tide for generations to come. Join me on the inside. I can't wait to see you for this and a whole lot of more information.